course the game audio gets really quiet, like, the second I do anything. Hey everybody, welcome back. Let me just, there we go. So from last time, it is totally understandable if you skipped the episode, but I got all of my classes up to, the level 15 quest, and then got each one of them up to level 23. The reason for that is literally so I can get all of the dungeon items for all the characters, which, I wanted to do, not out of, like, any, like, real desire to make it so that each one has their dungeon items, but just because I felt like I felt the need to have it, you know? And it also got the characters up pretty high, so I don't have to worry about level right now. Okay, let's, Right, I don't think anyone has shifted since the last time I was in here. They probably will after this, after I start this quest, though. So good to hear that. That actually sounded really close. Manphilia's wearing a wry smile. Might it have something to do with your newfound fame? Until not very long ago, you were but one of the many adventurers seeking to make their way in Eorzea. But for your character and courage, you were raised to the esteemed post of envoy. Thereafter, you traveled the realm, aiding those in need without thought of reward, confirming to Thancred that the Scions would benefit from your aid. And no sooner had you joined us than you personally bested the primal Ifrit. You have achieved a great deal in a short amount of time, and won fame in doing so. Alas, fame does not come without a price, and as you will soon discover. We have guests, Blue, or rather you have guests. Beg pardons, they all said in unison. Lady Manphilia, radiant as always. I'm given to understand that the Scions of the Seventh Dawn have but recently welcomed a new hero in their midst. I'm here on behalf of the Maelstrom, Grand Company of Linsel Lamensa, to offer said hero a place of honor within our ranks. They all basically said in unison. As you can see, Blue, your recent job exploits have garnered you the attentions of the Grand Companies of Eorzea. Each organization would have Ifrit's bane for their own. To this end, all three have sent officers to court you. They would not ordinarily go to such lengths to enlist a new recruit. They have is evidence of... Man, I gotta reread that again. That they have is evidence to their high regard for you. I find myself wondering, how in the world did Blue's deeds spread so quickly that the immortal flames would know of her triumphs is to be expected, but what of the other grand companies? Your reputation precedes you, Miss Cashmere. 'Tis no ordinary woman who could face a primal and emerge the victor. The Order of the Twin Adder is in need of valiant women such as you. Join your strength to ours, friend, and together let us ensure that peace ever reigns over the Trollswood. What a pleasure it is to finally meet you, Miss Cashmere. My comrades speak of you in the most glowing of terms. Why, even before you aided us against the Amalja and their dread primal, yours was already a respected name in Ul'dah. Our people know you and love you well. A woman of your talent belongs with the immortal flames. Join your strength to ours, friend, and together let us secure a prosperous future for Old Da. The Admiral was not exaggerating when she said that you have the look of a hero. Full often does she speak of you, friend. It is only natural that we should want you for the Maelstrom. Join your strength to ours, and together we'll see the grand vessel of Linsel Lamensa to the shores of glory. I like my characters slightly catatonic. And that, no, I did not intend for that to be a pun. Ah. Lady Menphilia? Very well. Though I am quite sure you need no reminding, perhaps a brief summary of the situation would help to clarify your thoughts on the matter. As you know, the Grand Companies are all-encompassing, organizations empowered to call upon the martial, economic, and technological resources of their respective city-states in times of strife. There are presently 3 such organizations in Eorzea: the Maelstrom of Linsel Lamensa, the Order of the Twin Adder of Gridania, and the Immortal Flames of Ul'dah. Serving a Grand Company means serving the nation to which it belongs. You will be charged with its defense and tasked with advancing its cause. In return for your faithful service, you will be furnished with various rewards, some of which may prove useful to you in your other endeavors. If you are agonizing over which of the Grand Companies best serves your loyalty, be at ease, the commitment of which you make this day will not be permanent. Should you wish to shift your allegiance, that a later date you are entitled to do so, and yet I concede that is no small choice you face. A thought occurs to me. You will, of course, recall that the 3 city-states are planning to hold Remembrance services. Well, as part of the proceedings, I am given to understand that the leader of each Grand Company will deliver an address. Hearing these addresses ought to help you make an informed decision. What say you, dear officers? A fine suggestion, they all said in unison. You are wise as you are beautiful, my lady. Very well. Let Blue hear our leader speak, and then returned here with her decision. We eagerly await your answer. I know full well that adventurers are, by their very nature, a liberty-loving breed, and not best suited to the discipline of military service, but I strongly urge you to join a Grand Company nonetheless. While the promise of reward is enticing in itself, it is not the only benefit. You are possessed of great power, Blue, and with it you are capable of doing untold good. Yet know that great power is wont to attract attention. Not all of it is friendly. There will be those who wish you ill, and you must needs be on the lookout for them. Yet, however vigilant you are but one woman. In the midst of a grand company, however, you will be one woman amongst many. A friend amongst friends. Your achievements will be shared, and so will the danger. I can think of no better arrangement. Of course, joining one organization need not mean leaving another. I hope that we can continue to rely on your aid. The 12 know that we will have need of it in the days ahead. The Korean companies seek to protect their own nation. We Scions, on the other hand, seek to preserve the future of Asia as a whole. Similar, yet not quite the same. Now then, I expect that you will be afield more often in the future. As such, I would have you carry this link pearl with you at all times. It will allow us to stay in touch regardless of the location. Eorzea is changing, Blue, and you have the power to shape it anew. None can say what the morrow will bring, but so long as we believe in ourselves, there is naught we cannot achieve. Now, it's time that you made ready for your journey. Before you depart, be sure to speak to Tataru. She will apprise you as to where and when the Remembrance services are due to take place. Okay. So just to kind of say right off the bat, I really like the outfit of the storm uniforms. I especially like their final outfit that you get from them. The other two are okay, and I literally chose them the first time going through, just based off of that. But I'll explain my choice after we go through the Remembrance Ceremonies. But if you think back to the way that I kind of described Ul'dah as quote-unquote feeling like the canonical starting city for a lot of situations, and a few other things, you'll probably know, like, which one I will choose, but whatever. So some of the characters have moved around, so I might as well just talk to them. The destruction that visited this land cannot be attributed to the forces of the Empire alone. Worm of Midnight, of Breath Infernal, for some a legend made flesh, for others an insidious symbol of memory lost. Let me just, yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. I think that's, I'm probably gonna leave it at that size. We grasp but a piece of the puzzle. Much and more must we question and contemplate ere the fallen moon revealeth its myriad secrets. Okay. I heard word of your deeds. I'm sparing my praise. You know that you have truly impressed me. So you know you have truly impressed me, right. Be that as it may, it is unfortunate that Thancred arrived when he did. Had he been but a moment later, I shudder to think what may have transpired. Yeah. I must confess that I do matter risk the obnoxious Makote's company. Araba is taking part in a joint operation with the Immortal Flames. I imagine he is having the time of his life right now. An experienced warrior like Araba won't die so easily. He's strong, fast, cunning. He'll come back safe. Yeah. Oh, hey, it's the other merchant. Everything looks to be in order. Right, on to the next customer. Yeah. Oh, hello again, miss. Meet, Persevanes. We was thick as thieves in the old day. At least I think we was. Or it might have been that he was, right, creepy bastard, and I did me best to avoid him. Still, we were both members of the Old Order, so either way, we're in this together, eh? I mean, he's wearing the, he's wearing the, Sunken Temple of Karn mask. So I don't know how to feel about him, and he's constantly looking at me. Like, he is only paying attention to me. You put up all the shame with your recent performance in the field. If I'm to keep up, I dare say I'll need bigger knives. You literally just switched from short sword to daggers. What do you... 5 years ago, the Grand Companies joined as one and fought the Garlean Empire at the Cardinal Flats. And now, for the first time, the people will be gathered to remember those who fell in battle. That being said, no one has any clear memory of what transpired that fateful day, not even the leaders of each nation. Speeches? Oh yes, I love them. There is nothing like good exposition when you're having trouble sleeping. Thanks, Ida. Keep doing whatever the heck you feel like you're doing. I'm sorry about all the attention you're getting, Blue. I drank my water too fast. Heck. I might have sung your praises a little bit too loudly and often to too many people. Next time I'll be sure to hold my tongue, literally if necessary. Anyway, I expect that you'll want to know when the Remembrance Ceremonies are taking place. If all goes to plan, Gridania's Grand Company, Order of the Twin Adder, will hold the first of the 3 services. The Elder Seedseer Conisena will deliver her address at Miketo's amphitheater. I should probably mention at this point that due to the organizational challenges involved in assembling all the involved parties, it's possible that the order of services might change. Still, there's not much we can do about that, so make Gridania your first port of call. Next, you'll need to go to Old Da, where the Flame Dreadle Rabban al-Din will be addressing the masses at the Royal Promenade. Oh, and it's rumored that there'll be a special guest. How exciting! Last but not least, you must make your way to the stateroom in Limsa Lamensa, where Maelstrom Chief Admiral Mirwib Blofuswin, just gotta love Welsh, will be giving her address. The room is accessible via the Admiral's lift, so identify yourself to the sentry Zathael, and he will admit you. Got all that? Well, off you go then. I hope you remember the Remembrance Ceremonies you find them suitably educational. I suggest visiting the city-states in my prescribed order, though. With your record of impeccable timing and luck, the schedule may well change in favor of your preferred travel plans. Farewell. Okay, and then they have them in given order. Actually, I'm also going to blow this up to 120. Like, that is going to look so awkward. Like, when I actually get, like, a lot of them, but, oh well, that's for later. So yeah, we probably should go in order that they are asking us to. Yeah, yeah, I'll do that. So it's Gridania, Ul'dah, and then Limsa. Okay, I have it set to Limsa for some reason. Do I want to fast travel? Yeah, I'll just fast travel to Gridania, whatever. And then I'll just use the, airships on the way over. There we go. Now that we're here, we can switch off to another class. Yeah, I think I'll... what do I want to go as? You know what? I think I'm actually gonna go as the class that I am quote-unquote representing myself as whenever I go into a city-state. So, so Conjurer / White Mage for Gridania, and then Paladin or Gladiator for Ul'dah, and then Arcanist or Summoner for... But technically... technically the one for that symbolizes Limsa Lamensa is purely warrior, because the other two, Summoner and Rogue, I know we don't have that yet, but I'm gonna just put that there now. Rogue technically is a lot more closer to Limsa, but the further you get down into that quest, the less Limsa is involved. And I feel like the only one that really sticks in Limsa is Scholar and Warrior. I feel like those two are the true ones because Summoner really does deviate from... Like, you can tell that Arcanist is a lot more geared towards Summoner than Scholar is, but Scholar thematically stays with the storyline, so I'm not entirely sure, you know? But yeah, Bard? Maybe? Like, it feels weird. I don't... Like, I think I may have mentioned this, but there's classes that I'm bad at, but there's no class that I hate, you know? It's one of the interesting things about Final Fantasy XIV that I've grown to really love is that there was no... Like, there were underperforming classes, and there were classes that I'm bad at, but there's no bad class. And I feel like that's really interesting. Oh yeah, don't worry about the decoration. There's an event going on right now, and I completely forgot.
I lost my son to the calamity.
The three seed seers are all together.
Some say you couldn't take a step without stumbling over a body. Our forebears were once strangers in the Twelves Wood.
I'm still trying to find the right audio levels for the dialogue.
Fearful of the Green Wrath, they hid themselves in the dark recesses of the earth. Yet they dreamed of basking in the dappled sunlight of the forest. Through great effort, they proved their worth to the elementals, and were granted a place beneath the boughs. So it was that Gridania was born, some 5 centuries ago. Working hand in hand, the Hyur and the Elysian settlers sowed the seeds of our civilization, and soon they were joined by folk of all races. So nourished by the waters of unity, and blessed by the light of the matron, Gridania flourished into the great nation it is today.
Do you see the Gridanian standard? There, hanging behind the Elder Seed Seer.
I guess. I don't know why you're talking to me, though, but yeah.
The entwined serpents represent the unity between Hyur and Elysian. An elegant symbol, do you not agree?
In accordance with the will of the elementals, we have embraced a life of peace. Alas, our neighbors have not always sought the same for themselves, nor for us. Though we Gridanians have no love for war, we have still less for those who would threaten our way of life. Ever have we fought to protect the sanctity of the Twelves Wood. When the Garlean Empire brought its war of conquest to Eorzea, we rallied under the noble standard of the Twin Adder that we might push back the encroaching darkness. And it was we who prepared the ground for the reformation of the Eorzean Alliance, that all the peoples of this realm might stand united against the common threat. "5 years ago, the Alliance met the armies of the Empire upon the fields of Cartano. It would prove the bloodiest battle in recent memory. Countless Gridanian lives were lost. As Supreme Commander of the Order of the Twin Adder, ever shall I bear the weight of our people's sacrifice. Alas, their loss was not the only tragedy to befall us that day. for soon came the calamity. The scars borne by our forest are a constant reminder of its violence. Our lives have been irrevocably changed. Each waking hour, a struggle to survive. Driven to desperation, some among us have strayed from the path of righteousness, resorting to banditry, poaching, and other unconscionable deeds. To compound our woes, the Ixal have returned in force, emboldened by our suffering. They test our defenses nigh without cease, and prey upon the vulnerable. So beleaguered from within and without, it is of little wonder that our unity now falters. Dark times are upon us.
Time was a man could walk
pox
the
on the
high
bloody
roads without
XIV.
fear.
On this day, 5 years ago, countless Eorzeans laid down their lives that we might behold another dawn. Please join with me in honoring their memory.
And how do you propose to honor the memory of those you cannot remember, pray tell?
The destruction wrought by the calamity was indiscriminate. It dealt death to Eorzean and Garlean alike. Yet while we have labored to rebuild our homes, to rebuild our lives, the Empire has set about raising steel fortresses here in the Twelveswood. Let none be mistaken. The Garleans remain the greatest threat to our survival. If we are to stand against them, we must remember what it is to be united. Our many troubles blind us to the woes of our fellow man. Thence is harmony lost. Yet harmony is the founding principle of Gridania. We are gathered here to honor the fallen. Let them be honored not only in word and thought, but through concerted action. I bid you join hands with me once more beneath the Twin Adder standard. And together, let us heal the forest's wounds, that our progeny might live in harmony beneath these ancient boughs. We must think of the children!
Woods will be done.
It's up to us to protect the forest. For the elementals!
Oh my gosh, think of the children. You know, for some reason, there being only 4 of them feels asymmetrical, and I don't know why. Feels like there should be a 5th one that is just missing.
If you'll permit me, Alfie no. And my sister, Alize, at your service. I saw at a glance that you were a fellow traveler. You might call us students of history, sampling the realm's remembrances in pursuit of enlightenment.
Oh, don't worry, I remember you. You were in the carriage on the way over. The Gridanians are unfortunate enough to have to contend with 2 beast tribes. The Ixal are unquestionably more troublesome, being a naturally warlike disposition and want to summon their bloodthirsty primal Garuta. The Sylphs, by contrast, are peaceful in nature, being mischievous rather than malevolent, and have long been on friendly terms with the Gridanians. Until recently, at least. Alas, they have grown aloof, and a change observed at roughly the time they summoned the primal Ramu. The Gridanians have no love for war, and they consider open conflict a last resort. so they clash with the Ixal ever more regularly. You may be assured that they do so in self-defense. As for the Sylphs, they are yet bound by a peace treaty, though one wonders how long it will be before it's broken. The Trollswood was grievously wounded during the calamity, leaving Gridania vulnerable to attack, and people are hopeful that restoring the wood, and thereby the power of the elementals, will put an end to their woes. Yet how long will that take? Centuries, I'd wager. Meanwhile, the Ixal continue their incursions, spurred on by Garuda and her insatiable appetite for destruction. Whether the Gridanians like it or not, sooner or later it will come to an all-out war, and when it does, the Order of the Twin Adder will need all the help it can muster. How valuable might the aid of a capable adventurer prove to them, then? So 100%, I'm probably going to name the lore series I do, probably something involving, like, Final Fantasy in context. But I'm going to just say that it's really interesting that one of the... Well, I'm not going to like, snidely say that none of the scions are important, but we're gonna just say that the two twins are very important to the story that we're about to go on. And it's not... If you're an old Final Fantasy fan, and you know what comes up, you know that twins in Final Fantasy games usually have a penchant for being interesting. Let's just say that they end up being incredibly powerful in what they do, but also very heartbreaking when they no longer are in the story. And I personally find the fact that they made Alphino and Alisaie these two Elezen twins... Oh man, like everyone just gathered here for the event. Where exactly is... Oh, it actually is up on the thing. I thought it was the other way around. But I just find it really fascinating that... You know, I just continuously find it interesting the way that they kind of loop back old Final Fantasy tropes and allusions to other Final Fantasy games back into 14. Like, not to really spoil the events of Final Fantasy IV, which I will eventually do a full playthrough of, but Alphino and Alisaie do share a lot with Palom and Porom, where one is a lot more outgoing, and one is a lot more studious. Hint, they actually swap classes. The rowdy one is the black mage, while the white mage is or I think the black mage is the reserved one, and the white mage is the aloof one, which is swapped between Alphino wearing blue and green, showing that he's more of the supportive type of caster, and Alisaie in red being the more aggressive caster. I just find that their color scheme to be really interesting, even if they are basically wearing the same outfit and only having a hair tie different. Like, you can already see that their coloring scheme is aligned in that way.
And Roban as well.
Hark you, souls of flame, drawn to the bosom of the desert, where the fire burns brightest and shall rage forevermore. Hurrah! Brauban! Where since antiquity, under the sage and judicious rule of the Ul dynasty, we have wrought sand into gold, where by the grace and glory of Naldar have our brave sons and daughters flourished and prospered. I speak of Uldar!
There, at the Flame General's back flies the Grand Company's standard.
What? Were you guys following me? What's up with you guys here now?
Note the sigil. The golden scales of order balance the jewel of prosperity with the flame of might.
Great and many are the gifts our nation has given the realm. In Eorzea's darkest hour, on the killing fields of Cartano, none spent more in blood and gold than we. Thus was the 7th Imperial Legion laid low.
So that's how it happened. How soon history forgets.
Yet many left our gates, never to return. Let us pray for our absent brothers and sisters, that they might know happiness in the great beyond, as Thal's honored guests. If the fates were fair, the price we paid that day would have bought us victory. Alas, and now, but 5 years in... Look around you! What do you see? A people divided, downtrodden, and enthralled.
Sorry about that, I dropped my mouse because I was coughing.
Where are the merciful alms of the rich? Where is the just steel of the righteous? I ask you, is this the great nation our brothers and sisters gave their lives to save? You who call this living, dishonor the name of the immortal flames. It is but a slow death. Our enemies surround us. The savage hordes of the Amalja wait beside our roads, strangling the lifelines of trade. Meanwhile, the Garleans make mock of our borders and despoil our land of its natural wealth. We stand on a precipice, yet we do not act, whether trader or soldier, monetarist or royalist. All must recognize that a divided Uldar stands to fall. Victory and fortune walk hand in hand. Ye who seek glory and wealth, look not to what little you can snatch from your neighbor, but to the boundless wealth of the world beyond. Now is the time to unite. Now is the time to ride forth. In the name of the Sultana, I beseech you, line not your own coffers, but those of the immortal flames. Seek not to prosper from Uldar, but to restore her to prosperity. As the realm prospers, so shall Uldar. As Uldar prospers, so shall her people.
Ya for Uldar!
Together we are one.
Your grace.
Rauban? People of Uldar, I, Nanimo, 17th in the line of Ul, address you. Much has been made of the wealth of Uldar. Yet those who measured that wealth in coins and carats are gravely deceived. For the true wealth of Uldar lies in the health, happiness, and hopes of her people.
I know several people in the story that live in Uldar that would gag at this line.
Beloved subjects, I bid you raise aloft the torch of Uldar, that her flames might serve as a beacon for all Eorzea to see.
Long live Nanamo!
Glory to the Sultana!
For victory and fortune, stride fearless into the inferno, for we are, by fire, reborn! forsooth!
The time is now!
Fancy meeting you again.
Yeah. I get it. You're following us because you want to hear what each one of them say, and we're going in order. I get it. The Eldons have a long history of conflict with the Amalja, the beast tribe that worships the primal Ifrit. Judging by your look of distaste, I take it that you've encountered them. The Eldons do not shy from confrontation. If aught threatens their precious prosperity, they will seek to crush it. So they have dealt with Ifrit thus far, smothering his flames each time he is stoked to life. Yet, he is but one of several problems. Though they have been quiet these past 5 years, the Garleans have not gone away. Meanwhile, refugees continue to arrive in droves, and Ul'dah has no clear policy of how to deal with them. After all, not even the Sultanate's coffers are bottomless, and even assuming that they had the coin, resources will never be finite. Will ever be finite. Which brings me back to the subject of Ifrit. It has been observed that the Amalja are summoning him with ever-increasing frequency. Every time they do so, Uldans send forces to smite the primal, and though they invariably succeed, each victory has been bought with blood. It is a war of attrition which they cannot well sustain. Small wonder, then, that the Immortal Flames are eager to recruit more members. At such a desperate hour, an adventurer of your experience would be a most welcome addition to their ranks. For their sake, I hope that the Flame General's words struck a chord with you. There we go. Since we're already up here, we can just head over to the, Oh wait, no, not this one. We could just head over to the airship landing without teleporting. But yeah, it's very clear that the Gridania is a nation that is defined by its loose clusters of people that have been brought together for a singular purpose. And Ul'dah is more of a economic theocracy, almost. Like, you can tell that even their way that they tell people to be more proactive with bettering their city comes down to I keep wanting to call Kane-sen Tikal from the Sonic series, but she really is. She even has the same sort of voice. She's out here preaching, like, be better than your basic self, and then you have Ralban, who's just yelling at people, saying that you are not living up to your city's standards. You should do better. And at first you're like, wait a second, are they saying the same things? And the answer is yes. They're saying the same things, but in a slightly different direction. Because, again, one is... It really is a feeling of environment, you know? Here to attend a remembrance service? Be quick, the Admiral will due to give her address at any moment. Honestly, I think what happens is that there's someone who is on the lookout for us specifically, so that when we show up, they start for our benefit, almost.
Brothers and sisters of the sea, hearken unto me.
look upon this, our mighty Crimson Standard, and tell me your hearts do not swell with pride. "700 summers have come and gone since our forefathers first ran aground in this fertile bay. In that time, guided by the Mother of Oceans, Limsa Lominsa has grown from humble fishing village to uncontested ruler of the 5 seas and beyond.
Ah, yeah, ah, ha, ha, yeah, ha.
Did you look as the Admiral bid you?
Yeah.
It is a
Yes.
rather stirring standard, I
Yes,
must
I did.
say.
Yes, I did have no thanks.
The crimson field is meant to signify the blood of fallen crewmates, while the black longship represents a pirate vessel.
When the Gallian Empire marched upon Eorzea, we assembled beneath the Maelstrom Standard, and our grand company was reborn. All answered the call, from the Knights of the Barracuda to Hilthier's bloody executioners, and together we met our would-be conquerors upon the field of Cartano. That day, the world bore witness to the united strength of Limsa Lominsa. I swear to you, no army ever fought harder or with more courage, yet many of ours did not survive. Join me now in remembering those who fought in the name of freedom and fell. May their souls be returned to the sea.
Freedom. Yes, they have always been rather fond of their freedom, much as the beast tribes have. Small wonder. Beneath the surface, one would struggle to tell them apart.
It has been 5 long years since the calamity struck. 5 long years of tireless rebuilding. Yet still the wounds of the calamity fester and weep. But when I stand atop the mizzenmast and gaze out upon our battered and broken vessel, I see an undying spirit. Did we not build all this from the wreck of the Galadian all those centuries ago? Shall we not do so again? Yet there are those who would see this ship of ours sink beneath the waves of the restless Rotano. The Sahagin creep ashore seeking blood for their accursed god.
Those fishback
The Sahagin have risen?
While the mines of Ogomoro spew forth kobolds who push ever south, despoiling our lands as they go. These savage beast tribes will be the first waves to crash against our creaking hull. And behind them swells the grim tide of the Gallian Empire. Even now, the Curs fly their flags within our borders. Doubt not, but that they will be upon us ere long. We are well nigh surrounded. Yet there are those among us who would rather turn their swords against their crewmates than our cannons against our foes. How can we hope to repel our many enemies when mutiny breeds below deck? There is but one course left to us. One bearing that will bring us victory over the beast hordes and the Empire both, and see this ship safe to port. We must mend the rift the calamity has reopened twixt pirate and maelstrom, and stand fast with our adventurer brothers against the coming tempest. Mark ye well, a crew without unity is no crew at all. 'Tis but a mass of drowned men. To me, then, brothers and sisters of the sea, gather beneath the undying Crimson Standard, and pledge me your strength, your skill, your wisdom. And with the guidance of the navigator, this great vessel of ours shall ride the waves, till sea swallows all!
Long live the Admiral!
Admiral Melvin!
Gather the lads!
Oh, where's me cutlass?
I'll follow ye to the 7 hells, Admiral!
fancy meeting you again.
Yeah, I see you. Sorry, I was needing to find something. As the Admiral mentioned in her address, Limsa is plagued by two beast tribes. The first are the fish-like Sahagin, worshippers of the primal Leviathan. The second are the kobolds, who dwell beneath the earth, and take the primal Titan as their god. As if the beast tribe's presence weren't troublesome enough, the Garleans have also chosen to erect a fortress right in the Laminson's backyard. And that is to say, not of the internal strife. As a nation of pirates, there is no end to the blood feuds between the various factions. And while they fight amongst themselves, the Garleans whet their blades and watch. If the Laminsons have any hope of withstanding the Empire, they must first resolve their own affairs. Differences must be set aside, and the primal threat dealt with once and for all. To this end, I expect that they will soon take decisive action against the beast tribes. Mark my words, the Maelstrom Standard will be drenched a deeper shade of crimson ere long. Oh, me. I'm trying to see it, because... yeah. I'm trying to actually find... a very distinct set of armor right now. Because, as I said, like, some of the armor sets get really good looking, but you have to go through so many hoops to actually get to them that I'm not even trying to factor them into which one it is, because it's going to be the officer's outfit for like level 50 stuff, and that's it. That a capable adventurer like you would be a valuable addition to the crew is beyond question. Blue, this is Minfilia. You are well, I hope. Would I be correct in thinking that the final Remembrance service has now concluded? A moment ago, you say. What a coincidence. Jesting aside, I trust you remember our guests from the Grand Companies. Well, delighted though we have to have them here at the Waking Sands, it would not do to keep them in suspense any longer than necessary. In short, hurry back. Yeah. Oh, one of the main reasons why ending off with Limsa Lamensa is that you can just fast travel to the Arcanist Guild, where the boat docks are. Run over to the ferry ticketer right here, and pay 80 gil to go to Vesper Bay. You know, it's one of those secret hacks that people never talk about when they talk about oh man, I need to go all the way over to the Waking Sands. It's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Just have your fast travel location be Limsa, and then just do return to Limsa lower decks, and then just use 80 gil to travel over. It's so simple. I don't know why more people don't do it. Welcome back, Blue. Were the Grand Company's leader's words as illuminating as you had hoped? Each nation is beset with problems. I trust you now see why your services are in such demand. Would that there were more of you, Blue? But you must be tired from your journey. Why don't you rest a while and take a moment to reflect on your decision? Once your mind is made up, pray give the Grand Company officers your answer.
The gods only know what grand company our adventurer friend will keep. The wheels of change are in motion regardless.
Brother, are you certain this course is best?
Whatever do you mean, dear sister?
The so-called Remembrance Ceremonies were little more than standard waving rallies, as though the Calamity and Seventh Umbral Era warranted scarcely a mention.
Well, of course they were standard waving rallies. Since you are so observant, mayhap you noticed what mention was made of the Warriors of Light? None. I suppose they must have forgotten the heroes who spared Eorzea a fate worse than the Calamity? No, dear Alize, they haven't forgotten these details. They have elected to omit them. Deep are the wounds the Calamity inflicted upon Eorzea. So deep, in fact, that the realm still bleeds. Needless to say, the beast tribes and their primals do little to alleviate the pain. So, the task of salving Eorzea's wounds falls to the scions of the Seventh Dawn, with a little help from our friends, the Grand Companies. Remembrance will yield no remedy. If our world is to heal, we must put the horrors of the Calamity behind us.
Our grandfather would never entrust the fate of the realm to despots who rewrite history to their convenience. There must be another way to cure what ails this world, and I mean to find it.
You are most welcome to try. Our paths may differ, but our destination is the same. In time, I dare say we will see eye to eye.
I should hope so.
My lady!
We are to escort you!
Hope does not come into it. We share the burden of this fate, dear sister, and will prevail together or not at all. The salve will serve not only to close up our present wounds, but prevent old ones from opening anew.
So, now comes the actual time that we do this. And I'm gonna just say this right now. This was actually an interestingly hard choice, originally. Because when I first thought about what I was actually going to do with these with the Grand Companies, I thought about which one has the most relevance in the story going forward, and you would be surprised with how little relevance, like, some of them have. Like, they were originally for, like, I think PvP purposes, where it's like, allegiance to one group and to another, but people ended up liking one faction more, and so they're just like, let's not do that. At least I believe that's how that worked. In which now it's just cosmetic. Like, it's, you go to them, you turn in dungeon equipment that you don't need, you get extra points for it, you do supply missions with, like, crafting and gathering, get more points, you level yourself up. And at the end of the day, I sit here and I wonder, what is the biggest change that you being a member of one of these will have as an impact to the story? And I actually thought about it a lot, you know, because we could pick Gridania for like one or two like reasons of the story, but none of them are important enough that I would actually like pin down and say yes, this. We could join the Maelstrom for several like patch quest reasons in A Realm Reborn, or we could pick our home city state and just go with that. And after a bit of just kind of sitting around, I really just decided that I was going to go with the Immortal Flames, just because it is our home city, effectively. Also, they have a better salute. Welcome back, adventurer. I take it General Ralbon's words kindled a fire within you. Excellent. I feared that the incident with the traitor may have soured your opinion on us. It glads to see that that isn't the case. But before you can count you as one of our own, you must be formally inducted into our ranks. Please proceed to the Hall of Flames and identify yourself to the personnel officer. I will notify him of your coming. With your strength joined to ours, we shall surely prevail over our enemies, be they beastmen or Imperials. I kind of like doing that sometimes, where it's like the spot isn't on the door, it's in front of it, so if you walk right up to the door, it forces you to turn around to the dot. Everyone's still in the same spot. Yeah. Yeah. So I kind of think that one of the benefits of starting in Ul'dah is that you get a lot of context for A Realm Reborn, specifically. And it all comes down to the fact that, one, you're in Vesper Bay. You start there, your final dungeon of, like, the level 15 quest lines. Yeah. In the level 15 MSQ stuff, the 3 dungeons that are right next to each other all kind of make you go back to Ul'dah, and it makes sense for you to interact with Thancred at the very beginning. And you stopping Ifrit is kind of a wrap-up of Ul'dah as a city-state in the story, and I really could not think of doing anything else but pick the Flames. Which is interesting, because on my main character, I picked the Maelstrom even though I started in Gridania, which really just goes to show you how much the Gridanian Grand Company really does to not really sell you on joining up, because the Maelstrom has like this has actually, like, one of the best speeches out of all of them. And even though it really is a, very pro, like, military rallying cry, and Ul'dah is more of just, like, don't let people get you down, and Gridania is like, I know that some of us are bad people, but we can do better, guys. You know, I've always felt like... I can't talk about it, and I don't think I will, but it really does make a lot of sense for you as a character starting out in... Again, like, the game almost kind of expects you to have started out in all 3 city-states, which is kind of interesting because not many games do that. Like, a lot of MMOs have a quote-unquote starting town storyline, but then the second that you start doing things outside of that, like, you are instantly just thrust into a very generic train of logic of, okay, so now that you're done with all these storylines, you're going to meet up at a focal point, and I feel like them doing that around, like, level 15 is really interesting, because some storylines don't even get to there by, like, level, like, 50. But then again, this game being split up into 1 through 50, and then every 10 levels being another expansion, really does help with the, really does help. I mean, even with levels, we're already, like, halfway to where we need, and that's just because we keep doing content and constantly doing that content with a, with an XP buff. Like, when we were using the earring and the food and the ring, like, that's quite a hefty amount of extra XP. Even if it's not like, oh, you're doubling it, it's still quite a bit, you know? Yeah, so here we are. What brings you to the Hall of Flames this morning, adventurer? I'm here to enlist if you'll have me. That's so. Well then, I must ask you for your name. Ah, but let me guess. It is Blue Cashmere, is it not? Yes, you are just, as our man at the Walking Sands described. Thank you for electing to join us. Now, in order to formalize your... Sir! Speak, Private. Imperial, sir. They fired on a Highwind Skies airship. Scouts say that she's coming down on the west near Horizon's Edge. Bloody hells, of all time for this to happen. What? I was just over there. What do you mean that... Blue, there's no time for formalities. The Immortal Flames need your help now. We're in the midst of a large-scale operation against the Amalja, and we have no one to spare in Western Thanalan. You must get to the airship before the Garleans do. If there are any survivors, see that they do not come to further harm. Let's go. Oh, that's now go. Never mind. So if I remember correctly, this airship thing happens in all 3 locations. And depending on which one you go to, it's a different spot. I could have just fast traveled to the, I could have just fast traveled to Horizon, but, you know. Oh well. Oh, there it is. I was looking around a little bit. I'm like, wait a second. Why can't I see it? Here's ship crewman. Huh? An adventurer? What are you doing out here? No, wait. Let's find some cover first. Okay, I guess we're gonna just run in front of them and they're just conveniently looking the other way. Immortal Flame sent you? How do I know you're not an Imperial spy? You don't even have a uniform. Are you right, sir? Our scouts reported an attack on your craft. We've come to rescue you. Blue Cashmere, yes? Glad to have you with us. I'm not seen a craft of this design before. That traitor Garland has been busy. The secrets of Magitek are ours by right. They are not to be squandered upon the savages of this land. We are taking this craft back to the fortress. Dismantle if you must, and bring the engineer. Someone must pay for Garland's crimes. They mean to take the ship back to Castrum Meridium, along with your friend. Wedge! No, you have to help them. That fool of a Lolfell has been hiding inside the tiny Bronco. Nice looking ship, though it's not the best place to have taken shelter, I agree. It's the first airship we built since the Calamity. Ever since Master Garland, well, since he went missing. After years of work, she is finally ready for her first flight test, and she was soaring, she really was, till those bastards blasted her out of the sky. We attack at my command. Kill him quickly, save the Lolfell if possible. Is that clear, Blue? Yeah, of course. Show them what becomes of those who play with fire. Well, we're under attack. I like how they supply with us a tank, a DPS, and a healer just in case. I'm gonna just quickly take these guys out here in the back. Honestly, I kind of like the Garlean weapons. They're kind of neat. I can't remember if you can actually build them later with, like, crafting stuff or not. What are you doing? Kill them, I said. Who are you talking to? It was the Bloody Vanguard. We need it now. Ugh. And you just came out of nowhere. What the heck? Okay, got them down. Now we have this Vanguard to take care of. That was a good time for a stun, jeez. I guess it's not a red. It's not a red attack that we can actually interject with. Yeah, you're not getting away from me that easily. Thanks, Thaumaturge. Caught him unawares. Biggs! Oh. Wedge, you should have stayed with the ship. That was a close one. Too damn close. How's she look anyway? The auxiliary propeller is a dead loss, but I think that we could wring enough thrust out of the main propeller to get us airborne. A few minor modifications and we should be able to fly the tiny Bronco home. The Imperials will come looking for their scouts, but we can defend this position until the engineers leave. You should go, Blue. You still have unfinished business to attend at the Hall of Flames. You're not quite one of us yet, though. Anyone who had seen you in action would have been forgiven into thinking otherwise. I, wanted to just say sorry, you know, for calling you an Imperial spy and all that. I got that one wrong, didn't I? Seriously, though, if it hadn't been for you and the Immortal Flames lads here, we'd be chained up in a dungeon by now. I am in your debt, friend. We both are. Wedge? Oh, thank you. We're very grateful. Yeah, that's Biggs and Wedge. If you don't know, there was a running, is it a running joke? It's just just like how in many Final Fantasy games, there are certain carryover characters, like, Garland is one of them. Like, one of the first people we fight in Final Fantasy 1 is Garland. You know? And so it's like that name carrying over is fascinating. Several names like Highwind carry over. Biggs and Wedge is another one of those. I can't remember which game it originated from. I don't think it was 4. Because I think 4 was the origin of both Highwind and Sid. Not considering that, which oftentimes are kind of like tied together, but they were technically 2 different characters. But Biggs and Wedge, the first time I distinctly remembered that they were in a Final Fantasy game, which, by the way, it's a Star Wars reference, if you don't know. It's based off of 2 of the pilots with that Luke went to shoot the Death Star down with in his squadron with Perkins. Yeah, so it's Biggs and Wedge. There's always a group of 2 that really do feel like a Biggs and Wedge type character. Even in 16, there's one, but it's like Wade and something else. Even though they're not Biggs and Wedge, they still feel like Biggs and Wedge. You know? And to be honest, I kind of like the fact that they keep showing up as a duo of... Yeah. Just like a duo of 2 people that work very well together, even though they chastise each other with their shortcomings. It's actually a really nice outfit. I know it's a shop outfit, but oh well. That doesn't sound good. Oh, there we go. Just had to wait a little bit for it to load. Welcome back, Blue. Word of your deeds in the field reached me not long ago. Exemplary service. Rest assured, the Garland Iron Works engineers are fine. They were able to get their vessel back into the air before Imperial reinforcements arrived. Your willingness to assist us in such a short notice is to be commended. Clearly your reputation is well deserved. Now then, I believe that we have some unfinished business. Shall we continue from when we left off? And induct you into the Immortal Flames? Suit black dye. Thanks. I actually needed some more black dye. Are you ready, Blue? Then let us begin. Blue Cashmere, you stand posed to enter into a sacred trust. The flames of Ul'dah burn bright, casting light where there is dark and purging evil wheresoever it lurks. We are ever ready to meet the nation's enemies in battle, be they beastmen, guardians, or worse. And at a word from the immortal General Ralban al-Din, we would gladly lay down our lives to maintain the peace and prosperity of Ul'dah. To join our ranks, you must forsake all other nations. Only then may you commit yourself to the flame and be reborn as an immortal flame. Burn as one of us, Blue Cashmere, and together we shall chase the darkness from Ul'dah. I forgot my phone was right there. Whoops. You probably heard my phone going off. Will you swear an oath to mark this occasion? My sword belongs to Ul'dah. The fact that I do not unsheath my sword and hold it up like it's Excalibur or something is very disappointing. Spoken like a soldier. You'll do well here. Very well. Your resolve is plain. Blue Cashmere, I hereby confer you the rank of an Immortal Flame Private 3rd Class. Welcome to the Immortal Flames, Private. May you fight to the last for coin and country. Yeah, I guess everyone's just clapping for me, I guess. Oh, I'm getting a call. Can you hear me, Blue? This is Menphilia. An officer of the Immortal Flames contacted me with the news of your enlistment. My congratulations, Private Cashmere. I have no doubt that you are eager to make the acquaintance of your new comrades, but I would have you pay a visit to your old ones first. Remember, though you are a Flame of Ul'dah, you are no less a Scion. Pray return to the waking sands at your earliest convenience. There are some friends here whom I would very much like you to meet. We shall be waiting. Seems your presence is required elsewhere. But before you leave, perhaps you could find a moment to speak with our Commander Swift. He is not one to see new recruits go into the field unprepared. You may now accept the quest My Little Chocobo by speaking with Swift. This quest must be completed in order to proceed with the main scenario for A Realm Reborn. The reason for this is without doing this questline. Oh, look at that. Without doing this questline, you can't do a sequence because doing this questline unlocks mounts. Because, again, like I mentioned way back earlier, we unlocked the shark mount like from doing ocean fishing, but we just can't use that yet because we are still stuck as a... There we go. Now the audio played. Chocobo whistle. Swift believes that you should get yourself a chocobo. Private Cashmere, yes? A moment of your time, if you would please. You wish to carry your duty swiftly, would you not? Well then, perhaps you would get yourself a chocobo. If you are interested, the Immortal Flames will furnish you with one. It's not a complex process, but it does require some paperwork. First, speak with the quartermaster to obtain a flame chocobo issuance. You'll need to exchange company seals in order to do so. Once you receive your issuance, show it to Mimigun by the Gate of Nald. He'll be there to furnish you with a bird. So here we are. So I'm gonna just show this off now. At the end of this list of stuff that you can get for armor is this stuff down here that you need to be max rank in it for. I'm not even max rank with my actual character because you have to go through quite a process. But if you watch, that's a pretty good jacket, okay? Like I'm not gonna hear it from anyone. I still think that the helmet's a little bit excessive. But let's right there. Okay. Just to show this off. So, you have the soldiers set. Which, you know, is very basic. You don't get pants for some reason. Don't worry about the fact that you don't get pants. You get stuff for, like, crafting and gathering. But then you get the Flame Private set. Which is kind of the same thing, but a little bit different. Like, you can... Oh wait, these are just different types of pants. Like, one for... tanking, effectively. Yeah. And then you got, like, other, like, flame stuff that just looks like generic stuff. Like, that's just the generic, like, casting cloak. But now it's in the flame colors, you know? See, that's the shirt. And then that is the armored plate. You know, it's like all of it is, you know, like pretty simple. Go to here and it's just the same stuff, just a little bit better. Like, okay, cool, we got this one now. And another version of this shirt with slightly different colors. The apron for crafting stuff, you know. You know, it's very funny. It's like, yeah, none of it is really that interesting. Like, let's be real. And then you get to the officers stuff, which is basically just an improved version of the original set. and that looks good. Okay? Like, the helmet, take it or leave it. Like, it's kind of gaudy, but, like, this is a cool-looking set. I kind of like it. I much rather prefer the Storm set, and the way that it looks, but gonna be real with you, that's pretty good. I always forget if they actually updated it for later classes, and I don't think they did. I think the last time that they updated it was Stormblood, because they have Red Mage stuff. You know, they have Red Mage stuff, but they don't have stuff after that, which is disappointing. So that's the sword they're wielding before. Shield is considered an armor, because of course it is. Honestly, I kind of like the two Wakasashis that are inside the lantern shield right there. It's actually a pretty cool looking shield. But yeah, not gonna lie, our goal is to kind of get that armor set at the end of the day. But the reason why we want to join a Grand Company is for two things. One, we could buy more adventures for 200 each, which is incredibly simple. We have the Chocobo Assurance that is also for 200. But once we actually reach the rank of Sergeant, we could buy Glamour Prisms for 200 each. We no longer have to go out and mine all the stuff for it each time that we run out. How much do I actually have right now? 4 left? Cool. Sent a Flame Chocobo Assurance to Mimigun. Now you might be wondering how exactly we go about doing that. Well, look at that. We have a new hunting log. Isn't that cool? Eastern Thanalan, Eastern Thanalan, Eastern Thanalan, Eastern Thanalan, East Shroud, Upper Lenosha, Southern Thanalan, North Shroud, Korthus. And us being almost at 30 means that we could do Korthus, but all we have to do is just take out the Amalja Hunters at Sandgate, and that's about it. Like, it's super simple. And we could do that in like 2 seconds. Again, the hunting log is broken when you remember it's there. Like, we did not need to level as much as we've had using the hunting log. Like, hunts are massively useful. Like, it's a lot more useful than people give it. By the way, if you actually checked the the hunting log, you'll see that some of them are actually located inside of dungeons. Like they want us to fight doctors in Halatali, but we don't have access to Halatali yet as a dungeon, so we can't do those yet. But they specifically, on all 3 of the hunting logs for all 3 of the Grand Companies, want you to go into around level 30 completely optional dungeon so that you can gain some favor with the given faction, which is kind of neat because it almost gives you a story incentive as to why you would even go into a dungeon that is mostly controlled by each of the factions. I'm trying to remember what each one of them are off the top of my head, but none of it's actually coming to mind. All I remember is that it's Halatali for here, because I'm able to actually look at it on it. But yeah, let's just take some of these guys out. Okay, now that we've done that. Oh wait, we need to present it to the Mimi gun, not him. Right. That's the event going on. Where is... Oh, they're all the way over there. Jeez. Want a bird issued, you say? Well, then I'll need to see your flame chocobo assurance. Issuance. Yes, everything appears to be in order. A moment, please. I'll be right back with your chocobo. Look at him. It's precious. And here he is. The fellow has been in high spirits the past few bells. He must have sensed that his master was coming. Well, then make it official. You'll want to give your noble steed a name. Quack. Make quack noises. Really adorable. Okay, where is it? Where is it? Come on, load. And now? Yeah, my game's not loading too fast, is it? Quack. Topaz. There you go. I dare say he likes his name. Here is your very own chocobo whistle. Simply blow into it and your feathered friend will come bounding to your side. But do forgive him if he doesn't respond when summoned in a crowded city, or in monster-infested lairs. Chocobos are stout-hearted creatures, but they do have their limits. And lastly, I present with you with your Chocobo Rider's license. It is required by law. And that includes all the formalities. I wish you and your Chocobo long years of fulfilling companionship. Personal Chocobos. Cool. Okay, let's go outside so I can show this off. I'm currently sitting at 1 hour and 45 minutes on the recording, and it's probably even gonna be shorter when I chop out some of the bits. But yeah, Chocobo Whistle. Oh, I actually forgot to read it. Dang it. A small hand-carved whistle that emits a unique, high-pitched tone discernible only by a chocobo trained from birth to recognize and respond to the sound. Used to summon your personal chocobo. Yeah. We got a little check mark that I've completed it. So now we can go to the Mount Guide. Ooh, mysterious Mount Guide. Born and bred in the city-state of Ishgard, the majority of company chocobos are geldlings of the Rouncy variety. However, massive deserters and miniature Belladine genets are also raised to accommodate the builds of Rogadin and Lullafellan riders, respectively. That's actually kind of interesting. I didn't even think about the fact that the actual chocobos that you get are different breeds specifically designed for larger players. A close relative to the tornado shark, the Hybotus, is a fearsome fish that soars through the skies by means of an organ that allows it to manipulate air aspected ether. The four fins protruding from its head are said to deftly control its course in flight. That's kind of interesting. I'll just quickly put the company-issued chocobo on every single one of these so I don't have to do this later. So while you're riding around on your Chocobo, you hear the Chocobo music. Every single mount has additional music that it can play. Like, this is the A Realm Reborn music, I believe. For, like, generic mounts. But yeah. So one of the things that we actually did relatively soon after we reached Gridania dang it, was that we actually used several items that were called Chocobo Bardings, and now we can actually talk about what those are. Let's go into the tab in our character known as Companion. So, oh wait, the Companion tab is right here as well. So, as you can see, summon Chocobo 0 Gissel Greens, which we're gonna do eventually for like skills and stuff. But we have the Ul'Dan saddle, which we can't unequip all this stuff, so we could just have Topaz be a normal, like a normal looking Chocobo. But something about them not having any gear on them just feels wrong, you know? So we currently have the Black Mage barding, which makes them look like this. Very dapper looking. They have the 14 Black Mage set, so they have like the face covering on them. Very snazzy. We have the Wild Rose barding, which makes your Chocobo look like the main character from 2, from Final Fantasy 2, which honestly looks really good on a Chocobo. And then the final one that we got is Barding of Light, that makes our Chocobo look like the stand-in character for the Warriors of Light as one person in Final Fantasy 1. Honestly, it's a pretty good look. I just think it's way too overly designed sometimes. But I am going to keep with the Ul'Dan saddle for right now, at least. So one of the big advantages to having a Chocobo is that the second that you activate it, you will note that your movement speed will have gone up a little bit. And that could even be, like, enhanced with mount speed. As you can see, like, you can actually increase the mount speed of places by getting riding maps. And I forget if there is a more convenient way to get riding maps than wait for an event. You know? Wait for an event that drops Moogle tome stones and then turn them into Moogles so that you can get riding maps. I forget if there's a different way to do it than that. But that just ended up being one of the ways that I unlocked it for a majority. But yeah, one of our main goals while we're like doing Grand Company stuff is actually not with this one, it's this guy. Ask for a promotion. Your current rank is Flame Private 3rd class. If you wish to become a Flame Private 2nd class, you must fulfill the following requirements. 2,000 seals. We increase our maximum seal allocation from 10,000 to 15,000 from this, and we're going to be able to access more items inside the actual store. Again, one of the best ways to do that is to go on supply missions. Yeah, sure, I'll give you the 3 Echo drops I have right there. Why not? We get a bonus for it being high quality, even. We got 61,000 experience on Alchemist for doing that, by the way. Did we actually encounter any Pearl Ginger? 1 second. No. Yeah, we would have to make all of this stuff and then turn it in for points. We could do that. Or we could ambiently get them from doing fates out in the world. Either way works to gain some points, you know? Oh, there's the Moogle. 1 second. Previous irregular tomestones. Yeah, for some reason we just held onto them. We can get a few things. You could get, like, mounts for it. You can get, gold saucer points, which we will talk about that eventually, but not right now. Magitech Predator Identification Key. Newest irregular tomestones. What are you currently doing right now? The big shell. Tyrannosaur horn. Huh. But yeah, there's several things in here. There's several mounts in here. Oh my gosh, all 3 movements of dancing matter in here. That's funny. A treasure box minion. Oh, the fat cat minion is in here too. That's cute. I actually don't see any of the maps, actually, now that I look at it. 10-year anniversary farmer's kit. Oh, framer's kit. Okay. I was trying to figure out what that was. Samurai barding. That really sounds nice. But yeah, we don't have time for that because I'm not actually doing any of the actual, like, event story quests because that would be insane. I would have needed to start at, like, 1.0, like, just doing this as the game came out to actually fully, like, get the full story of all of the events. But yeah, honestly, not really too bad. Like, I'm gonna probably farm a lot of that off screen. All you need to know is that they, like, do a little fanfare of, like, yeah, you leveled up, and then they let you go. So it's not really too big of a deal to not show that stuff. Okay, let's head back over the Vesper Bay. slowly eating this thing of frosting that's been sitting here for a bit. Oh, people moved around. We work in shift to ensure efficiency. Yeah, sure. Let me see if I have this right. You're an adventurer, who's a son, and a flame? Golly, how do you keep track of everything? Must be fun pairing up with a lot of different people, though. Me? I'm always with Papa Limo. Come to think of it, why am I always with Papa Limo? Following the calamity, each nation's armed forces underwent large-scale restructuring centered upon its grand company. In Gridania, the Order of the Twin Adder absorbed both the Wood Whalers and the God's Quiver, while Leminson's enacted to complete merger of the Maelstrom and the Knights of the Barracuda. Ul'dah is the odd nation out, having no noticeable change to its armed forces. As before, in the spirit of the Sultanate, each entity remains a certain degree of independence. Yeah, that's interesting, because I never actually thought about the fact that, like, the Wood Whalers and the God's Quiver are technically part of the Twin Adder, and the only group that doesn't align fully with the Maelstrom are the Yellow Jackets that basically work as a intercity police, effectively. The incident with the traitor still weighs heavily on everyone's mind, the Flame General most of all. And though he cannot be expected to know that evil lurks in the hearts of every man under his command, the revelation is nonetheless a devastating blow to his authority. Even so, it warrants saying that you should not let this tragedy color your opinion of the man. In all of my years of working with the Flame General, I have never had reason to doubt his capacity to lead. Well, don't worry, because I didn't even doubt him for a second. The lighting made me think that he had my blue sword, and I was gonna get annoyed. Oh, it's the third brother. I heard tell that one of my brothers came through not long ago. Looks like I just missed him, though. I ain't seen either one of them since the calamity. Didn't even know that they were still alive. But running into folk who swore that they knew me time and again, I reckon that they had to be out there somewhere. I've been traveling and peddling in the hopes to find me brothers ever since. If you see a fellow that looks like me, let him know that Brennan's looking for him, would you? Fate thou shall be thy guide. When our purposes become one, once again shall our paths lead us here. Our city of learning is now not but shadows. Ere the night of dawn breaketh, shall we follow whither the sand blows. We shall continue to focus our efforts in investigating the primals. The Amalja are not the only tribe that has succeeded in summoning its deity. Have we met before? You must have been accompanied the adventurer to be the accomplished adventurer to be welcomed into these halls. Me? No one's ever expected much of me. So far, I've done a fine job of living down to their expectations. I've been chatting with Persevanes, and we both swear that there was another member of our crew. I hadn't figured out a way to prove who he was, but just you wait and see. It won't be long until everyone sees us for the heroes we is. I guess this is a third member of their group. I hear you pledge yourself to a grand company. Me? I don't think I could do it. I'd never feel like one of them, no matter what the recruiters say. I'm not sure I grasp the purpose of these remembrance ceremonies. Whether you remember to rewrite the past, what doesn't matter. It isn't as though you can repeat it. Our present-day enemies ought to serve as sufficient motivation. Don't you think? The only lesson I believe that we should take from the Calamity is that far greater threats can and will appear. Sound supplier. Yeah, sure, let's get the, why'd I do that? High potions and high ethers. No, we could just craft them. Do I want to get more grade 3 dark matter? I think I want to at least get back up to 50. There you go. This person mends my armor for me. Cool. Well, we've talked to everyone here so far. There's a lot more Immortal Flames people that are just standing around, you know? Welcome back, Blue. Lady Minfilia waits for you within. Oh wait, I forgot to, I've been forgetting to be well fed this whole time. Well, look at that, 30 points, just so we can, get the Chocobo on our way back out, you know? Welcome back. It seems that you have wasted no time in putting your skills to work. How do I know? Why, the recruitment officer called to regale me with the tales of your heroics. The pride in his voice was palatable. Palpable? There we go. We Scions are truly fortunate to have you with us, Blue. Now, when we last spoke, I said that I wanted you to meet some friends. Did I not? Well, I neglected to mention that you have already met. Tataru, please show them in. This way, sirs. Oh, hey! Thanks again for letting us out of that mess. We owe you our lives. But I don't think we properly introduced ourselves. I'm Biggs. And I'm... Gods, man, spit it out, will you? Wedge, at your service. I'm pleased to say Biggs and Wedge will be staying with us for a while. Magic-driven contraptions such as airships grow ever more vital to the city-states of Eorzea. As a neutral party, it was judged that we Scions should serve as the keepers of this technology. Of course, for this, we needed the knowledge of experts, and so we requested the assistance of Garland Ironworks, who was very kindly sent us 2 of its finest engineers. Our happy family continues to grow. On behalf of the Scions, I bid you welcome to the Waking Sands. Like every soul here, I love Eorzea, and I count myself blessed to have been given this chance to stand with you all and fight for the future of the realm. Never have I known such fulfillment, such happiness. I guess everyone's gone back to their positions now. Minfilia needs you to investigate the sylphs.
Now, having set aside the formalities, we have a favor to ask of you. Urianger, have the documents arrived from the students of Baldessian?
Aye, my lady. They arrived but recently.
We have conducted a study at the behest of the Order of the Twin Adder. Papalimo, Ida, a synopsis if you would.
Our task was to survey the behavior of the Sylphs, a beast tribe indigenous to the Twelveswood.
Oh, how to describe them. They look like gisselcreens, floating ones, that worship the primal Ramu.
Ahem. Though technically a beast tribe, Sylphs are blessed with a comparatively personable demeanor, conducive to peaceful communication.
Offering us an invaluable opportunity to learn what the beast tribes know of the primals.
While Ramu's existence is well documented, the Sylphs do not, or perhaps cannot, summon the primal any longer, insofar as can be ascertained, until such time as we know. It would be unwise to assume that the threat posed by the primal has passed.
Which leaves Gridania with the added worry of not knowing what they should be worrying about.
In that regard, they are hardly alone. What we can say with absolute certainty is that Gridania has its hands full fending off Garuda, who, I need hardly remind you, is among the most savage and terrible of all known primals.
In short, it is essential that we approach the Sylphs in as diplomatic a manner as possible. Words and actions can be misconstrued. The only sure way to communicate our intentions is the echo. Winning the Sylphs' favor may well bring us a step closer to mitigating the threat of the primals. Will you help us? I am grateful.
Lovely. Well, as much as I'd like to help, I'm afraid I would be of little use to anyone in Gridania. A veritable babe in the woods. Ida and Papalimo, however, should be able to see the forest for the trees. Is that not so, Minfilia?
Indeed. You are willing?
Leave it to me.
Us, Ida, us!
Okay. Your mission is to make contact with the Sylphs, with the ultimate goal of finding a peaceful resolution to the threat posed by Ramu. Be fairly warned, the Sylphs are a unique people to say the least, and you may find yourself bewildered by their customs at first. Yet know that Ida and Papalimo will be on hand to support all of your endeavors. Okay. Yep, everyone moved places again. We haven't forgotten how you saved us, Blue. Don't worry, Wedge and I mean to repay the favor in kind. I like it here. Safe, hidden, a bit dank and dingy perhaps, but I've known worse. Plus the receptionist is rather charming, don't you think? Yeah, sure, whatever. Two more guys. Looks like the tank in green is meeting with a lancer in white. Looks like our sorcerer in purple has met a ranger in white, along with their scholar in green. Guess what, Blue? We found our third man. He was bleeding Zatzflow. Bugger me, how could I ever forget Zatzflow? The three of us were always together, I think. Once upon a time, I aspired to make my name as an adventurer. I came crashing down to that fateful day when I lost the man who led my party. The man who had won my heart. I could not protect my love, then how could I hope to protect my realm? I sunk into the depths of despair. Pathetic, is it not? Others may have come to join some great cause, while I'm here only because I have nowhere else to go. It's a little sad. Hey Brennan, what's up? Merchants told me that it was Brent who delivered the goods. Maybe if I wait a while, he'll come back with another ship. That is a fair assertion. Mamu, beloved rival of the Sylphs, rooted as he is in the laws of Eld, the stern arbiter of the forest, legend hath it this thunderous entity appeareth with the guise of an elderly sage. Thus doth history oft speaketh of the old man in the woods. Hallibear. The name's Hallibear. I have taken up residence here, for reasons I'd prefer not to delve into. I may not be much use on the battlefield, but I do know a thing or two about dealing with people. If you find yourselves in a bind, you do well avail yourselves of my services. Sure. Hi, Araba, you're back. They tell me that they were instrumental in Ifrit's, that you were instrumental in Ifrit's defeat. Bravo, Blue, bravo. Perhaps you've heard of my exploits. The Flames and I struck a decisive blow against the Lizardmen by destroying and pillaging their stores of crystal. Aye, they won't be summoning their primal and again anytime soon. Abba neglects to mention that our allied forces suffered heavy casualties. The operation succeeded, but at great cost. With an outcome like that, should we really consider it a victory? Abba says we should, but I'm not so sure. With the addition of the 2 engineers you rescued, the Waking Sands has become lively indeed. Were you aware that entry into the Sands requires the fulfillment of certain conditions? One must either gain recognition from the Scions or earn the approval of Tataru, our Lalafallen clerk, has quite a discerning eye for character. I guess. Well, either way, let's head over to, we could head over to Gridania, or we could just leave the entire quest line for one video as well, since we just finished, the Grand Company quest line. That is an option. Good morrow, Blue. I trust your investigation is faring well. Yeah? I mean, we could just end off for today. Yeah, we could just end off for today, effectively. Because what I've been trying to do is, on our crafting stuff, I've been trying to, if we just switch to completed recipes, I've been trying to actually clear out the entire, like, recipe list. I'm currently working on the 16 to 20 with the new recipes. Yeah, I'm currently at Armorer right now, as you can see. That way, we can slowly build up our better items onto us. And since we're at level 20, all of the, like, lower than level 20 stuff that we have on, like, will immediately just fall away. So we can constantly be at the level that we should need. The only ones that are definitely going to be a lot higher than normal are going to be our land ones. Just because I did a whole lot of fishing earlier, but also because I'm trying to actually go out and actually get the ingredients instead of trying to buy them off the market, you know? So I end up amassing a lot more points, as it were. But yeah, I think I will just end it off here and then continue with my crafting that I was doing while I wait for this video to render. I don't think I actually need to edit too much onto it or at all, since it is kind of a shorter one to the 4-hour video that is currently sitting in the queue right now. That's probably going to go up tomorrow, and then this video after that. But I really do want to try to beeline the story of this. I'm probably also going to play a lot more Final Fantasy 1 on stream as well. Like, again, I don't want to play too much 14 on stream because I feel like you can get a lot more done in an edited video than you can with a streamed video, but that's just me, you know. Either way, I really need to get that I really need to get those that rank up so I can access the glamour prisms and ventures, because I haven't actually sent I haven't sent my retainer out on a venture in a while, because I would need to have done some leave quests to do that. I just haven't been, like, at all in any capacity. I really should, though, because again, they're a thing to check off of a list, so it's gonna drive me insane if I don't. But either way, I'll see all y'all later. Let me switch back over to the Paladin. You know, I always forget that this area isn't considered a sanctuary, because there isn't a group of armed people at the gates that prevent enemies from coming inside, which is interesting. But then again, Vesper Bay is kind of an interesting place altogether. There we go. But yeah, I'm going to run around, do some crafting, get up that score. On our timers tab, we can actually look at the mission allowance right here. So it's actually going to be a lot easier for me to just do the crafts from here. I still need to grab some Silex, right? Anyway, I'll see all y'all later. I'm going to go do some crafting and gathering stuff, and I'll see all y'all later. Man, I really don't want that to be my catchphrase, but it kind of stuck since the last time since I said it. So, have pleasant dreams, everyone. Good night.